The tech industry has had its share of great rivalries. IBM versus Digital Equipment, Microsoft versus Netscape, America Online versus Yahoo. Remember that one? But they all may pale next to the battle that's emerging between Google and Apple. It's the story on the cover of the latest issue of Bloomberg BusinessWeek, Why They Can't Be Friends. We're talking about it this morning with the magazine's assistant managing editor, Peter Elstrom. Peter, we think about Google versus Apple most recently in the context of the Nexus 1, Google's new phone, versus the iPhone, of course. But this story explains that there's more to this battleground. Tell us about it.
It is a broader battle, yeah, exactly. The battle between these two companies is really turning into one for the ages. They have visionary founders, multi-billion-dollar war chests. The companies are both revered with the kind of passion that you usually see for movie stars and pro athletes. And they have outsized ambitions that's leading to clashes on all sorts of different fronts, from smartphones to apps to operating systems to music in a lot of cases. So you're really seeing these two companies. Now, what's happening now is that they're really moving into each other's core businesses. You got Google with the Nexus 1 going after the smartphone market, where Apple, of course, has the iPhone. And Apple, with an acquisition announced earlier this month, Quattro Wireless, is beginning to move into the advertising market. And what our sources tell us is that this acquisition is actually part of a broader effort to compete with Google in advertising.
We think so much about Apple in the context of the iPod, the MacBook, the iPhone, but as we found out, there's big business in applications. Is it possible that mobile advertising could become an even bigger business for Apple than any of those other things?
I don't know about a bigger business, but the key battleground here is mobile computing. What we're seeing is computing move from the traditional desktops and laptops that we've had into these mobile devices right now. And the same experts who felt that the internet was going to create a new era of giants are now saying the same thing about mobile. Now, mobile advertising is a relatively small piece of this. There are billions of dollars up for grabs in the handsets and the software and the services. Mobile advertising is strategic because if you can get it to pay off, then you can create an ecosystem, pay some of the money to app developers, and really have the strongest ecosystem of anybody.
Peter, when we think about web advertising, we think about, you know, the elephant in the room, Google. Is it possible, though, that Apple could have an edge here and possibly even the upper hand?
Well, Google has a lot of strengths. There's no question about it. They have a leading market share in search on desktops. It's about 65%. On mobile phones, it's at least that large. There are different figures about that. But Apple has a lot of very valuable data about you. They know which applications you download onto your iPhone. They know which podcasts you listen to. They know what kind of music you listen to. And if they wrap in some of the geolocation technology in their smartphones and the iPod Touch, maybe in this new tablet they're going to come out with, they could actually do some pretty interesting things.
How about Steve Jobs? What's his role in all of this?
Well, he leads the company. I mean, he very much drives the direction. So what our sources have told us is that he feels like mobile advertising at this point just doesn't work very well. You know, you have a cramped little keyboard. It's very hard for people to peck on their keyboard to search for something, to type out little letters. And then you get a text ad next to your search results, which you really don't want to click on because you don't want to give up that one browser on your phone to go someplace else. So if Apple can change mobile advertising the way it changed music, the way it's changed mobile phones, there may be a big opportunity here. Again, not just for the dollars that Apple would get, but for the ability of Apple to share that money with some of its app developers and create a stronger ecosystem.
We've so long thought of Google as kind of impermeable or impervious to challenges, but little by little other companies are picking away. What would Google's weaknesses here be?
Well, one of the very interesting things that we heard is that Apple could at some point knock Google off of the iPhone. Now, right now, Google is the default search engine on the iPhone, but Apple could end up deciding to knock them off to go with somebody else. We've heard that Bing is a possibility, Microsoft's Bing search engine. Now, the key thing here is Apple would be cutting Google off from the data that they would get to improve their own advertising and to improve the Android operating system. So that'd be a serious move.